In some areas where iron pan forms in the soil, it prevents proper drainage, and when the water table is high, bogs and standing water can develop. In these conditions, tussocks of cross-leaved heather, cotton grass and mosses become the common plant species, along with familiar wet-loving flowers like the yellow flag iris. The waterlogged conditions also provide a habitat for some of the rarer species, such as the marsh orchid and the sundew. The sundew is an unusual plant, adapted to survive on poor soils by trapping and digesting flies that become stuck on the sticky blobs at the end of hairs on their leaves. The wet conditions are ideal for amphibians such as frogs and newts, which need to keep their skin moist and require permanent pools of water in which their tadpoles can hatch and develop. These pools are also ideal breeding grounds for one of the oldest creatures in the world, and this dragonfly fossil is over 300 million years old. Dragonflies have two quite different stages in their life cycle, and while we often see them flying around near water, the biggest part of their life is spent living underwater in a larval stage known as a nymph. Dragonfly nymphs are voracious hunters, and they catch prey such as tadpoles with a set of formidable pincers at the end of a specially adapted lower jaw called a mask. The mask is normally folded underneath the head, but when a suitable meal comes along, the jaws shoot out to grab the unsuspecting prey. The nymph lives for up to 4 years underwater, and then, when fully grown, it crawls out onto a reed or grass stalk, its skin breaks open, and the fully developed dragonfly emerges. There are over 20 different species of dragonfly and damselfly that are found over Heathland, and the adults are spectacular flyers, hunting mosquitoes and midges which they catch in mid-air. But dragonflies aren't the only thing hunting over the wet heathland, and they themselves become prey to perhaps the most spectacular of all flyers. The hobby is a small, elegant bird of prey that visits Britain in the summer to mate and nest. And in the early summer, when the chicks have just hatched, the hobby feeds them on a diet of dragonflies, which it catches in mid-air. As the chicks grow, the parents switch from catching insects to small birds, and the hobby is one of the very few birds of prey capable of outflying swifts and swallows at speeds approaching 100 miles an hour. Lowland heathland is a rare habitat, but wet heathland in particular is very fragile, and nearly a quarter of all our wet heathland has been lost since the end of the last war. Wet heath provides a unique habitat for some of Britain's rarest plants and animals, and we must do whatever we can to protect what remains.